Islip Supervisor Angie Carpenter, welcoming you to Supervisor Spotlight. And I'm absolutely delighted today to have with us two key members of the CDA, the Islip Town Community Development Association. And that is its Executive Director, Jay Bowers, and Julie MacGibbon. What is your title?
Assistant Director.
Assistant Director. And they're a great team, and I'm so delighted that you're here today because there's just this mystique about the CDA and what they do. And I know that almost every month or week you'll see an advertisement in the local papers about the CDA and those who might be eligible for home repairs, and it's very specific. And let's talk a little bit about that program, because it just popped into my head.
The home repair program?
Yeah, how does that work?
It's for Islip Town residents. It's a program to help them rehabilitate their house. It's for income eligible residents. They have to be 80% of median income. And it's for different repairs. It's a $10,000 grant program, and then we have a loan program up to a maximum of $50,000, and that's a 0% loan program.
But did you hear what she said? 0%. 0%. And you
0%.
know, I have to tell you that we have a family friend. Actually, it was a couple, and she has since passed away. But he was like your biggest fan, the CDA's biggest fan about this home assistance program, because he was a senior, he was a veteran, and he was definitely income eligible. And they were able to have repairs done to their home that otherwise they would not have been able to afford over the years.
Yes.
And
if you say the name, I'll know the client.
I'll just give you your first name, Mickey.
Yes, Mickey. Yes. I'm sorry she passed away.
Yeah, she passed away, and he's now living in assisted living,
Okay.
closer to his daughter. He's no longer in the town of Islip. But he probably was able to stay. They were able to stay in their home a lot longer than they might have been able to.
Yes, we were able to do a handicap bathroom for them.
Right, yes, exactly.
To assist them, yes, when she needed some.
But you know, this is so indicative of how things work at the CDA that I was able to say a name, and Julie was able to make the connection, because they have made people feel so comfortable when they are in a place where they need a little help, and not make them feel bad about asking for help, but just there for them. You know?
Yes, and the program has changed slightly. It was $50,000, 0%, and now we give the first $10,000 as a grant. And that money is used towards heating systems, doors, windows, exterior roofs, things that a person would need to keep the home stable, to keep it safe. And you know, otherwise they couldn't afford those things.
Yeah.
And if they are eligible, they can get other repairs done, kitchens, baths, things like that.
And you know, sometimes when we see, you know, at the town board, it happens all the time. We had a town board meeting last month, and there were a number of homes on the docket for board up, cleanup. Occasionally we'll have a home that needs to be demolished. But these are homes that a lot of times people were in a situation where they weren't able to keep it up, and I often wonder if, you know, they had known about it, perhaps they wouldn't find themselves in that, you know, predicament. But Jay, tell me something about the history of the CDA. How long has it been around?
The CDA started in 1976, and its board has a 5-person board of directors. They're all appointed by the town board. And then the CDA board runs our agency, executive director and an assistant. And we have right now, I think, 14 people who work for the town, the CDA. And we are the housing, I guess you'd call it housing administrator for the town. By resolution of the town board each year. We do all various projects. We have some new construction, which enables us to take either an old place or perhaps one that's just a vacant lot, build a home, and then we have qualifications, and then we have a raffle. And you've been there.
Oh my God, and I have been there for so many years, prior to being the supervisor, even as the county treasurer, and before as the legislator, been invited to attend the housing lottery. And these are people that have been found qualified for the affordable housing program. And they come very often in this room and sit there anxiously waiting as the drum is there and names
Yep,
are
the names are
pulled
picked
out of the
out.
hat to see where they rank. And quite often there might be 30 people sitting
Yes.
in the room and only 5 or 6 homes, sometimes only 2, you know.
Correct.
But that really is exciting.
And what we can do is, in that proceeding, the winner, or whoever is chosen and qualifies, we can provide 3 mortgages, actually. The first mortgage is to acquire the property, and it's about at 60% of the fair market value of the property. And then we have a second mortgage, which we call a soft mortgage. Once they stay in after 15 years, it's forgiven. There's
Wow.
no interest payable, and it's forgiven. And then the final mortgage is no interest, no payments. Whenever they sell, and it could be their grandchildren who sell, the CDA gets the money back to continue the program. So with those 3 mortgages, you get somebody who has a very lovely home at an affordable price, and they don't have the pressure that a lot of people have with maintaining the homestead. So and we really enjoy that. That's
Oh, God. You know, if you've ever have the opportunity to be at a ribbon cutting when after all of this time, you know, people are finally getting that key and going into their new homes, and more times than not, there are kids involved, and
Yes.
to see, you know, a little kid say, that's my room, that's going to be my room, and to see how thrilled and excited they are. It's got to be wonderful for you guys
great
doing this
feeling.
on a regular basis.
Yes.
You know,
we really
making dreams come true.
Yep, absolutely. We
Making
do
dreams come
enjoy it.
true. So what year was it you started then?
1976.
So that's a lot of years.
Yes,
A lot of years,
yes.
that over
And
50
we've,
that you've been here.
And actually, this new program, with the affordable housing, with the program that we're running now, the federal government has these substantial amounts that they have awarded to localities, and we're running the program, and it got started in March. And Julie, you gave some of the requirements for it, but it's been quite successful. And we've been able to assist, I think, we have about 131.
This is for the, yes,
which we've
Emergency Rental
completed,
Assistance Program.
And we've been able to disperse about $1,600,000.
Okay.
And that's an outright, it's an outright grant, meaning that that money is paid on behalf of the homeowner who is delinquent in rent,
Yeah.
in danger of eviction, and if they qualify, we can assist them.
Well, this is a program that's got a lot of details to it. So after we take a little break, we're going to come back and talk about the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. And as I said earlier, I'm here today with Jay Bowers and Julie MacGibbon from the Town of Islip Community Development Agency. Hi, this is Town of Islip Supervisor Angie Carpenter, and I'm here today at Supervisor Spotlight with our guests, Jay Bowers, the Executive Director of the Town of Islip Community Development Agency, and Julie MacGibbon, who is the Assistant Director, and they both do a fine job on behalf of the residents of this great town of Islip. And it's a wonderful program, the Community Development Agency, and all of the programs that they have in place. And not every town has a Community Development Agency. I mean, we have 10 towns in Suffolk, and I believe it's 4 that have a CDA of their own.
Correct.
Otherwise, you have to deal with the county. But given the fact that we are the size of a town that we are, the 3rd largest town in the state of New York, we do have our own CDA. And that really puts us in a marvelous position, I think. A really great example is recently with the American Rescue Plan, the funds that were given to the town through the CDA for the rental assistance program. Jay touched a little bit about it earlier. Julie, maybe you can tell us more about it, because I know that you've been really working on it from the beginning.
Yes, we've received approximately $9 million under the first round of ERA 1 and approximately another $9 million. So it'd be about $18 million for the 2 rounds, ERA 1 and ERA 2. ERA 1 launched in March.
Okay, so we're famous for acronyms
Oh,
here.
yes.
Okay, in the town, in the county, and all over the place. But
Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Yes.
So out of ARF,
yes,
which is
yes,
the American.
yes, ERAB, yes.
Yes.
So currently, to be eligible for the program, you have to meet 3 criteria. You have to be 80% of median income. You have to have a housing instability, whereas you're in rent arrears, you've received an eviction notice, and you have to have a COVID-related financial hardship. Could be that.
Okay, so let's review that again because I think it's really important. 80%
of median
of
income.
median income. is
So an
your first
example of a
requirement.
family of 4, you'd have to be, you couldn't make more than $103,900.
Okay.
Family of 1 is 72. Just to give you an idea, 750.
Okay, so that's the first criteria.
Yes, first
the
criteria.
income. Second,
Is the financial hardship due to COVID. So you lost your job, you were furloughed, you had COVID and couldn't go to work.
even if your hours were cut, so that
hours
your,
were cut.
your income was substantially
Yes.
reduced.
You were on unemployment benefits, or
Okay.
a family member in the household is under, has unemployment benefits, and then you have to have housing instability where you're in rent
Well, let
arrears.
me go back to the COVID related. So if someone, household of 4, the mom, God forbid, got COVID, wound up being in the hospital, they had to bring help in, and it really put financial stress and burden on the family income
Yes.
because someone getting COVID, would that
That would
qualify
be, yes,
also?
that would be a COVID-related hardship.
Okay, all right,
And you can self-attest to that hardship. We have a questionnaire that they fill out.
okay.
So it's pretty simple. And then the housing instability is if you have received an eviction notice or you're in rent arrears and you're on the verge of receiving an eviction notice.
And that has got to be so frightening, demoralizing. You're in your home, you're stressed as it is,
Yes.
and now all of a sudden you're gonna, be facing the possibility that you might be evicted and have to leave.
We have a lot of clients that are applying for that, and you hear the story, and we're doing everything that we can. So when they can either call in, they can apply online. We will meet with them in person. We'll set up an appointment. We've been at the libraries. We're now in the 5th District Court every Thursday, and they can come in and we help them through the whole process.
So that's important. I mean, this agency and this team that Jay and Julie have assembled, they're out there. They're out there in the community and letting them know, what help that they can afford them. You're not just sitting in your offices kind of waiting. You're out there in the community, and that's so important.
Yeah,
and I really appreciate
We do
that.
try to go to any event that we know that there will be a lot of people at attending,
Yeah,
so we
I've
can
seen you
apply.
guys, yep.
We'll send out a paper application if they're not able to do it online. We have laptops that we bring with us, so we're pretty fluid to getting out there and trying to assist people. If they don't have access to a computer, we'll meet them. We'll set up appointments.
not
So
comfortable with
if they're not
English, we
comfortable
will-
doing
Oh,
it.
that's
Yeah.
important
Yes.
too,
Yes,
because
mhm.
everything that you do send out goes out in English and in Spanish. I've
Spanish.
seen so many of the
Yes.
brochures and
Person can,
flyers.
request assistance and we'll provide it.
That's
Of
great.
course, we know there are some people who really need it, and we want to help as much as we can.
And that really comes across, and we're very grateful for that. We truly are, because you're keeping people in their homes, at a time that this has been a very difficult,
And these are out and out
difficult year.
grants, meaning when we pay somebody's arrearages, they're paid.
They're paid.
And the landlord will agree at that time to defer certain action because it's important. We just don't want to pay something off and then have them
Exactly, come back at them.
come back. again.
Yeah,
So they have to agree. And they've been doing that.
Yes, right now it's a dual application. The landlord has to apply as well as the tenant. So the landlord has to give some documentation and the tenant has to give their documentation. We put it all together and we make the payment directly to the landlord. We also assist with utilities, 12 months of utility arrears. PSEG, Nat Grid, Suffolk County Water will assist with that as well.
And I know that the utilities have been more than willing to work
Yes.
with people, and certainly having the CDA intervene and providing some of that assistance has got to make
Yes.
it a lot easier. And again, we're most appreciative of all of that. There is a second round or another round that's coming forward for mortgage assistance also.
Yes, that will be out. We haven't finalized all of that, but the guidelines are similar. Although you have to be a homeowner, live in the town of Islip, have to have a mortgage arrear. We have to work with the banks, but the banks do not have to apply. They do have to send documentation, so the client would have to gather that information from the mortgage
But
company.
we don't have the amount of funds for mortgage assistance that we do for rental
Right,
assistance.
it's a lot less. Yeah,
It's
that
about
It's a lot,
actually-
about 2 million.
Yeah,
2
about
million.
2 million.
But it's still a sizable
Oh, yes, it
amount
is.
of money
Yes.
to enable us to help
No
people
question
who are
about
in
it.
their homes and might be struggling now to make those mortgage payments.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I want to say something. When the program was first announced and we talked about it, there's an awful lot that takes place in putting something like this together and rolling it out and making sure that you're following the guidelines that the federal government has, because this is money that's come from the federal government. So you have to be very careful on how you proceed in following all of the rules. And you guys do that, and you do it beautifully.
Thank you.
And I know that there was an article in Newsday, and they were chastising, some of the municipalities and the state included in the slow rollout of the distribution of these ERA funds. And I was absolutely thrilled because they had this chart and it listed all the municipalities and how much money they were given, how much that they had distributed so far. And the town of Islip CDA, and please forgive me for being so proud of you guys, but we were the only municipality that had already hit the ground running, were working with people, had already serviced, I think at that point it was over 100 applications,
Yes.
and had already put money in the hands of people. And sometimes you hear the term landlord, and it conjures up this person who's a big landholder and, is wealthy, et cetera, et cetera. But some people don't realize that, like, some people go to work, this is a job, this is how they live and afford to live. They own property and they rent it. But when they get that revenue, they also have expenses. They have taxes to pay, they have utilities to pay, a lot of times a mortgage perhaps. So when we're assisting not only the renter but the landlord, it's keeping them in a situation that perhaps is keeping them off, the poverty rolls.
Yes. It's a win-win for everyone.
It really,
Oh, yeah, and
really
there's been
is.
severe strain on some of those family owners who count on the income that's not coming in, and now they have to pay their mortgage. Some of them are falling behind on their mortgage
Yep,
as a landlord.
exactly. So landlords are not immune to the problems that everybody has.
No.
That's right.
So we're going to take a little break, and we will be back with our friends from the CDA on Supervisor Spotlight. Hi, this is Angie Carpenter, Town of Islip Supervisor. Welcome back to this edition of Supervisor Spotlight. And today we're delighted to have with us Julie MacGibbon, who's the Assistant to the Director of the Town of Islip Community Development Agency, and we'll call it the CDA, and Jay Bowers, who is its Executive Director. And we are delighted that you're both here and learning a lot about the CDA and how valuable an agency it is and how blessed we are in the Town of Islip to have people there, not a huge staff, a little over a dozen people working at the CDA every day, but really, really making a difference in people's lives, not just our residents, but business owners too. And Julie, I know for years there's been this program where people who have small businesses can apply for a grant, and this is pre-COVID, where they could apply for a grant to rehabilitate the facades of their building. Can you talk a little
We
bit
have a
about
commercial rehab program.
Yes.
In the beginning, when it started, we would help with facade improvements, windows, fascia boards, things like that. But right now, our program is signs and awnings. So it's a new business coming into the downtown areas, Bayshore, Brentwood, and Central Islip. And we assist them with new signage, new awnings, just to get them started. A lot of times they don't have that upstart. And we give them a little boost, get them going, and we've been doing that
So-
for 30-something years.
That's amazing. So in addition to a new business starting up, is someone who's been in business 20 years, say, and wants to refresh, give a little bit of, uplift to their businesses.
Yes.
Can they come back and get
Yes, we can assist
assistance?
every 5 years.
Oh, wow, that's
We
great.
could, yeah, they can reapply every 5 years, and the awnings, get worn, and we replace them, and it's a great program.
And, it's a great thing for businesses to do because people want to feel like they're going to someplace that's substantial and successful, and a business that projects that kind of fresh, clean, we're here, we're open for business, winds up being a lot more successful, I would think, than someone where you're walking in and everything's tattered and torn
yes.
and worn out looking.
Yes.
So it kind of helps
Yes,
project
yes,
yeah.
that it's new, it's open for business,
Open for
So.
business. When we are. The town of Islip is always open for business.
And that leads me to think the situation in Central Islip, where we're working on this DRI,
The
downtown
downtown
renewal,
revitalization.
right, revitalization initiative, and we'll have about 600,000 specifically for storefronts.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some applicants, and we're in the process now of finalizing those, so there will be beginning to.
And we're really grateful for that because for those of you who might not be aware, the town of Islip was very successful in securing a $10 million grant from the New York State Economic Development Agency through the Regional Economic Development Council. It was a competition, and to be honest with you, we applied 3 times, and finally the 3rd time we were successful. But it was for $10 million for the revitalization, specifically for the downtown corridor in Central Islip on Carlton Avenue that stretches from Suffolk Avenue down to Smith. And that's an area of storefronts that are in desperate need of revitalization. We felt that we could go in there and rehab some of those facilities into mixed use, where there would be retail on the bottom, some housing on top. There's a project at the north end of the corridor that there were a couple of vacant parcels, one underused, never used parking lot, and that is being cobbled together. In fact, I believe the CDA had a parcel there, or the
Yes.
Civic Association. So we brought those parcels together, and that's out for an RFP now. Someone's coming back, hopefully, with a successful idea for development of that. But part of that, the Regional Economic Development Council allowed us to set apart the $600,000 for the kind of facade improvements that Jay just referred to. But to manage a program like that is kind of difficult. And of course, success breeds success. So who do I reach out to? Someone who's successful, someone who's busy already, but can get it done. So we're really grateful that you guys are managing that part of the RDI.
Yes, we're in the
program for us.
environmental stage right now.
Right.
We're
right.
doing our SHPO requirements and getting our environmental reviews.
And it's a lot involved. The government is, and I'm the first to admit it, never easy to deal with, but we do answer to a higher authority and have many regulations that we have to adhere to, and sometimes it appears to be a little tedious, but this is where Julie and Jay and their team come into play and are really so very helpful in getting us to that point.
It's a process, and
Well, the
we're
DRI process.
working our way through it.
Oh my God!
And it's ever changing, constantly. Paperwork, changes, and we go with it.
It does, and it really has turned out to be years. And of course, COVID kind of put us back a little bit, but it started with a series of meetings that had to take place, community engagement and working with the community and getting a sense of what their vision was, what they would like to see for their community. And I have to tell you that it was very interesting because normally when you start out with something like that and you convene that community meeting, and that first community meeting in the cafeteria at Central Islip High School, we had about 300 people. And it was a very interactive, participatory process. And we were required to have a total of 3 community meetings like that. So we convened the second meeting, and normally what happens is that people lose interest. They come to the first one, and you'll get less at the second, and by the time you come to the third meeting, you know, it's a fraction of people that attend. We never had that with CI.
No, we
You had the
didn't.
reverse.
We
And
did.
more and more people kept coming.
But it was exciting.
Yes.
It was exciting because the community really, there was buy-in there, and there's a lot of exciting things happening there. I mean, if you look at Central Islip in that corridor now, you've got 2 beautiful hotels, you've got the 2 courthouses, you've got Duck Stadium, you've got a brand new animal shelter that's going to be opening right off Carlton Avenue in a couple of weeks, hopefully. You've got a brand new soccer academy, the shopping center with Home Depot and Target and a couple of restaurants, and beautiful homes, townhouses and
Yes.
condos. There are quite a number of
College Woods.
apartments going up, College Woods, which probably is the first success story for the CDA. And that goes back over 30 years ago. In fact, that was such a success story, and I know Julie is aware of it. I'm not sure you are, Jay, but I've been told that it's in historic records as a success story for urban,
yeah.
you know, renewal. And if you drive by College Woods now and you see it, you wouldn't think it was 30 years old or
I
over
know.
30 years old. It has been kept up beautifully, and you guys have been involved in that.
Yeah, we did 393 new units, new homes, single family and townhouses. That was a very
there
large
were-
project.
A very large project, but a very successful project, and you still monitor it to a certain degree
Yes.
because those homes cannot be rented.
They cannot be rented. We work with code enforcement,
Yep.
as you know, and they're on top of everything. We try to make sure that the new people coming in, you know, as it turns over, that they are
Adhere-
aware of
adhere.
the covenants
Right,
and
right.
restrictions. Sometimes they're not, so we try to get it out to them as soon as possible, so that the rental restrictions remain, and it's all homeowners.
And it is a beautiful community, College Woods, and it's on the west side of Carlton Avenue in CI. And prior to its existence, it was called, was it Reese?
Carlton Park.
Carlton Park, and it was an area of the community that nobody, I say nobody, wanted to go into, including the police. It was known to be a drug haven, prostitution, every negative happening that a person could never want happening in their neighborhood or in their town took place in Carlton Park. And that was totally rehabbed, and if there was ever a success story for this town and the CDA, it's Carlton Park, turning into College Woods. So, you know, we have to wrap up. I can't believe it's a half hour already.
you.
I can't thank you enough for coming down here today, and Jay and Julie, for all that you do for the residents in the town of Islip, especially in the communities of Central Islip, North Bayshore, and Brentwood. It has truly, truly made a difference, and every day that passes, it continues, so we thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's an
Really
honor and a
pleasure.
privilege
It was
for
an
us
Ah,
to do that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, signing off, it's Angie Carpenter, Town of Islip Supervisor, and we will see you next time on Supervisor Spotlight.